photos from June 2022 shows this: Trump aide and co-defendant Walt Nauta moving boxes around Mar-a-Lago. Prosecutors say that Nauta moved these boxes shortly before a Trump attorney was going to look through them after getting a subpoena to turn over classified materials.
That's not a good idea. Well, new photos of Trump's personal valet, Walt Nauta, moving boxes of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago were released, further incriminating Nauta of charges that he obstructed the government's efforts to retrieve those classified documents. Now, Nauta, who still works for Trump, is actually trying to get the charges against him dropped, with his legal team arguing that there's prosecutorial misconduct at play. Now, in the first hearing since the judge overseeing this case, Judge Aileen Cannon, indefinitely postponed the trial, Nauta's defense attorney, Stanley Woodward, presented arguments that his client has been subjected to, quote, selective and vindictive prosecution. The most explosive argument that took place during the hearing yesterday is the idea that the defense attorney, Woodward, was threatened in regard to a promised judgeship that Biden was going to appoint him to. So this is an allegation stemming from a discussion that took place in 2022. Defense attorney Stanley Woodward claims that one of the prosecutors, Bratt, implied at the meeting that Woodward would not get a judgeship unless his client, Nauta, cooperated in the documents investigation. So this claim from the defense apparently set the courtroom ablaze. Things kind of became unhinged after that. David Harbach, a prosecutor with the Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith's team, called Woodward's allegations garbage and fantasy. He said the statements attributed to his colleague Jay Bratt had been taken out of context. Harbach also called Woodward out for not reporting this alleged exchange until several months after it happened. He accused Woodward of changing his recollection of the conversation. This is a lawyer whose allegations amount basically to him being extorted, Harbach said of Woodward, waving his arms. Harbach also became agitated when Judge Cannon asked him whether prosecutors had any evidence or had they kept any evidence of this August 2022 exchange with Woodward. At that point, Judge Cannon also stepped in and scolded Harbach. So the judge quickly scolded Harbach, telling the attorney to calm down. Cannon questioned why there was no evidence gathered of what happened in the 2022 conversation, saying, why do those comments about Woodward have to be made? And at that point, they denied that those comments were even made. Harbach says, that is not true. And I didn't say that, Harbach shouted back. The prosecutor said that there was no recording of the conversation between Bratt and Woodward, but that Smith's team has preserved like any recording they have of the meeting. So basically saying the conversation never happened. There's no recording of that conversation or that exchange because it never happened.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
But Woodward seems to argue that we should take his word for it. He claimed during the hearing, Woodward shot back up to the lectern saying that, quote, I'm here and offering to testify under oath to what he remembered of the meeting. I should also note, while this exchange is happening between the judge, Woodward, and Harbach, Bratt was actually there at the hearing. It just seems like he wasn't engaging in the heated exchange in the same way that others were. But I've got more details, Cenk. Curious what you think so far.
So there's three different parts of this story. The conclusion won't be a fun one. So number one, on who's right and who's wrong between the attorneys, Trump's attorney many months later says, oh, I think they were implying that I was gonna get a judgeship if I threw my own client under the bus. Wink. Sure, whatever. Oh, wow, Trump's attorney is very likely a liar. Oh, I didn't see that coming. And the reason the prosecutor is super mad is because this guy's just making, it appears, he's just making something up completely. And they're not used to this. Even like the worst criminals, like murderers, etc. Their lawyers act within normal bounds of legal actions, right? But when you have a mob boss like Trump, he orders his lawyers to lie. He orders witnesses like Costello in the New York case to like try to intimidate people. So it's just a wild, wild setting because it's the most out of control defendant there is in the whole country. And then secondly, Walt Nauta, this is part of the proceedings here. I mean, there's the hilarious video of him carrying boxes while Trump was claiming there were no more boxes of classified documents. So did Trump and Nauta do it? Of course they did. Don't lose your focus on that. There's no question Trump did it. There's a 0% chance that he's innocent. 0%. The evidence that is already public is overwhelming. Okay, now the sad part, the third part. Judge Cannon is talking about how, this case is so complicated. Sister, you're the judge. It shouldn't be that complicated for you, okay?
Hold on, let me jump in. Let me jump in real quick I want to clarify it a little more because she's not saying that the case is complicated for herself. She's saying that, maybe the nuances of this case are too complicated for the jury, which is a foreshadowing statement to say the least.
Yeah, and so thank you for the clarification, Anna. But that's exactly what I was going to get to. And when she says that, what does that mean? That means she's going to take longer and longer with the case. And it's already over anyway. Even if they got started now, which they won't, it's not going to make it in time by the election. So that means this case is totally irrelevant. Because look, guys, if Trump wins, obviously he's just going to have the federal government dismiss the case and the whole thing's over. And Merrick Garland is the worst attorney general we've ever had, sat on the case for all these years. Like this one's a little bit different than the one he sat on for 2.5 years, which was the coup case. In this documents case, they could have gotten started earlier too, and that delay cost us tremendously justice. But if Biden wins, is he really going, will this trial come to a conclusion? Yes. Will then they send Trump to actual jail? Nearly impossible. I would be shocked because Biden, he doesn't care about accountability and the rule of law. Him and his attorney general, are they concerned about the politics? Of course they're concerned about the politics. So these trials all should have started long ago if they cared about the justice.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And Cenk, you had previously said something about how you feel that the judge is incredibly biased in this case. And look, I kind of rejected that because I hadn't seen enough of her communication with the prosecutors to really buy into that. And I don't want to fall into the trap of thinking that, if the judge isn't doing everything that we want, then she must be biased. But no, there's something up with this judge, honestly, because what really spoke volumes to me was the exchange between the prosecutors and the judge here, where the prosecutors are like, this exchange about the judgeship didn't happen. And she's like, why were these comments made? And why don't you guys have any recorded evidence of these comments being made? Like almost trying to suggest that they're trying to hide the evidence that this exchange happened with Woodward. But there's no indication of that. She seems to be putting her thumb on the scale in a really strange way. And of all of the indictments that Trump is facing, the classified documents case, I would venture to say, has some of the strongest evidence against Trump. So I don't know, there's something up with the judge. It's making me increasingly uncomfortable. And I do agree that she is playing into these delay tactics, which makes me think it's very unlikely gonna go to trial before the election.
Yeah, last thing. Look, it's not about pro or anti-Trump rulings. I think Judge Merchan in the New York case has made some pro-Trump rulings that I agree with, because those rulings aren't about, hey, who do you like better? Who do you want to win the election? They're about legal issues. And sometimes the prosecution is wrong on legal issues. And so that's why we need fair, unbiased judges to protect everyone involved, including the defendant, okay? And in fact, I think some of the judges' decisions in the civil fraud case in terms of collecting almost all the money that Trump owes ahead of time, I think has been kind of biased against Trump. So I don't have any problem calling out things that Trump is right legally, or if people have been unfair to Trump. But Judge Cannon has made many clownish decisions, and her and now lately her decisions to delay the trial seem brazen, so that she doesn't have to actually go through and convict Trump. It seems like, just reading the tea leaves of the decisions, their legal merit, and how she's making them, it looks like she's trying to delay it so that she doesn't have to be involved in a decision where Donald Trump is clearly guilty. And of course, if Trump wins, this case is over on the day that he's sworn into office.
There are also some rumors that she's considering the fact that if Trump wins, remember she's a Trump appointed judge, that if Trump wins, he might consider her for a Supreme Court nomination. And so there might be a conflict of interest at play with that as well. And remember, she has decided to postpone the trial indefinitely. The other thing I'll note is that she has not made a decision as to whether or not the charges against Walt Nauta will be dropped. So we're still waiting to hear if there's gonna be any update on that. But if we do hear about it, if there are any other developments, of course, we're gonna share them with you.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.